Hey, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, good people? It's your girl KB. You know what I do, and you know why I do it. I just finished reading just for today, which is the Narcotics Anonymous reading. Now you're asking why I'm reading the Narcotics Anonymous reading. It's because I work as a counselor. Okay, so here we go. It's entitled The Principle of Self-Support. I need to say I don't agree with this particular reading. I'm going to tell you why as I read, okay? It says, in our addiction, we are dependent upon people, places, and things. We look to them to support us and supply the things we found lacking in ourselves. So in other words, you're looking for validation. All right? All of us from at one point in time or another want validation. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Let me go further because it changes up a little bit. It says, in the animal kingdom, there's a creature that thrives on others. It's called a leech. It attaches itself to people and takes what it needs. When one victim brushes the leech off, it simply goes to the next. Okay. Now, you've heard me talk about vampiric type of connections where you're just draining the life's blood out of somebody or just taking all their energy. Now, to that I agree to a certain extent. There are people who are content and intent on being a leech, right? But, we can't beat people up, especially people in their addiction, especially people in their time of need. And I don't know anybody who is more needy than somebody who is struggling with addiction. The disease has talked them into a place of great deficit, great lack. And the enemy does that to us from time to time. We don't get the validation that we're seeking in a healthy way. And we become self-destructive. That's the human condition. The thing is waking up to the human condition. Or having somebody, I often use the analogy of Lazarus, help you take off your shroud and come back to the living. There's nothing wrong with that. The writer goes on to say, in our active addiction, we behave similarly. We drained our family, our friends, and our communities. Consciously or unconsciously, we sought to get something for nothing from virtually everyone we encountered. Okay, so a lot of times when you're traumatized, your growth is stunted. And kids, emotionally, developmentally, immature folks, seek to get something from nothing. And if you don't think addiction or hardship stunts your growth, trauma stunts your growth, you're gonna have a lot of life experiences. I'm gonna put it like that. You got a lot to learn. Not everybody has this Brady Bunch life, this Leave It to Beaver life, where it's all wrapped up in 30 minutes. A lot of yucks, a lot of laughs, a lot of love, and a happily ever after. Not everybody gets that. Our life is celebrated by what we do in the hardships. Amen. The writer says, when we saw the basket pass at our first meeting, we may have thought, self-support. Now, that's a kind of an odd notion. As we watched, we noticed something. The self-supporting addicts were free. By paying their own way, they had earned the privilege of making their own decisions. Now, That's a pendulum swing. Now, that can be a bad thing too. Because some of us go to the extreme where I don't need anybody and I don't need nothing. And then we go right back into this thing of isolation, which also keeps us stunted in our growth. Amen. It's about finding that healthy balance. It's about living a life of balance. It's about learning to control yourself and check yourself in order to interact with other folks. So you just heard me say in the earlier recording that my job is to highlight the gospel. Some of us have gone over to judging. Some of us have started punishing folks, Bible beating folks. Some of us are just too invested in other people's lives. And here you go. I know I'm going to make a bunch of folks mad at me on this one. That is not ministry. Lead by example. Look at what you're doing. Look at the speck in your eye. And if you make Christ appealing, then you share Christ. I often talk about the definitive thou shalt nots. And that sounds weighty, doesn't it? It's like, oh, there's a set of rules. I don't want. Please believe. And this is demonstrated from the Old Testament to the New Testament. And this is the reason for Christ. God already knew that it was impossible for us to keep the rules. We're rebellious little creatures. And those of you who have kids know what that looks like and what that sounds like. And just know that we're God's children. So we're going to find ways around the rules. That's just a life fact. Self-discipline and self-control. I guess that's going to be my theme for today. How you living?